spring trip.
No,
I bet you. Be underwater. Shocked, we came in from the south. And I said, I'm not sure where Joe and I camped when we started to come down here and I turned left. Everywhere in that park. Really had to study all there on the left, up that hill. We've been there before. You think they will always turn left? I said, I'll show you. Where the hell is that? It's all in there. And I didn't realize that the river backs up that creek up.
It's yours.
Oh, it's all right.
Oh, really?
Would you do that?
I don't think you can. That was water.
How many guys now?
Not strong. Well, we did one. We did one. Cheerleaders can't be whatever. We drove by the first time.
It was a machine.
We drove around and I said, well, we're just turning around the block here. You could not swing to the east. Every road down where the little ditch was blocked. You couldn't go down there and swing around. So we turned around, we're back. We turned around, and our wider kid just did that. He went back, got on the main highway and went there. And I thought,
Did he really?
we came up with
Right here.
15, 19, no, we came up on 19. Yeah, I go right about, we went down on the Illinois side.
You know about the canteen? We're going to canteen.
19 goes about there. Right back to the farm. And 75 farm, I grew up on. Right to it. And there's a lot of water down by
John,
We'll call the meeting to order. I want to welcome everybody for coming tonight. Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Motion to approve agenda. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Let's see, police chief's not here, fire chief's not here. Rec director's not here,
She's at the ball game.
Main Street's not. You got anything for Main Street, Doug?
We'll be doing a market, study this summer. So that will start sometime next month.
Phase one, and it goes what, November?
Yeah, they're gonna walk us through the steps, so I don't know the steps right now. We'll have to, go through a training and learn the steps. And we went through it in 2006, but I'm sure they've changed some of their methodology, so.
Irrigation Day Saturday.
Nation Day Saturday, absolutely.
Kicks off with the 5K.
There's a 5K, there's a bike ride, there is a, what else is going on? There's a bunch of things going on, kid things, And yeah, and here, you read that, Dawn.
No, I can't read.
So, 5Ks at 8:30, kiddie parades at 10, yoga at 10:30 in the courtyard, 11 o'clock is free train rides, 12 o'clock the motorcycle ride starts.
Yoga's free, man.
4, the beer garden opens, and there's a cornhole tournament at 4. There is a pie eating contest at 5. The bounce house is in the courtyard at 5. 8 o'clock's the beard and mustache contest, and then music.
Full day,
So,
full day.
full day and no rain.
There, nobody's answering that. There's no rain for them.
No rain.
That it for Main Street? Chief, you got anything?
We had a request today to see if, I think, Alexis Lynch called and said something about seeing if trying to get permission for just that day to ride a UTV around for Hairy Nation Days. I told them I'd ask you, but
She wants a way to get beer from the trailer up to the,
And she also said that she would use it to take pictures of the 5K on the designated route while that was happening as well, along with the transporting the beer.
I was hoping to, because I gotta work with 5K. I don't wanna run to have to get ahead of 5K for the next checkpoint.
Somebody could ride with Bruce.
Yeah.
I don't know that it, I mean, I don't
know.
It's part of the
Yeah, I
part of the
know.
festival. It's okay,
Yeah, I
as
don't.
far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
As long as they obey the rules. Traffic laws.
Flag it, put slow moving vehicle sign on it.
That all you got? Fire chief,
We're good.
you're good?
All the storm sirens are now working right.
Yep, we got the new one up, back, Phil McClure and Tracy Morgan approached me about, they put in some money about putting a siren out the industrial park, they said they can't hear it. So I contacted Frontline and asked them what kind of a discount, super discount price we could get for that one we sent back up. Put the magnets in, and it doesn't really need a PA, it just needs to make noise. So it doesn't sit on their shelf and doesn't cost us much, if anything. So we're just discussing. Phil and Tracy both approached me, so they can't hear out there in the industrial park.
Weird outdoor farm.
Sounds good.
Alright, sounds good. DC's not here. Public comments. New business, consider appointment of council member to fill vacant at-large seat. Jack and Scott, myself was on a committee that we did some interviews of the people in town that were interested in filling a vacancy seat. And our recommendation for the appointments, Bob Overstreet. Do we need to vote on that, or?
Yes.
Yes.
I have to have a motion to approve it.
Move to approve.
Second.
Earl,
No.
Jack,
No.
Scott,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
So Heather, what's the procedure now?
I guess you're gonna have to go back and figure out another appointment, I mean, anybody's going to approve, I guess.
Do what?
See if there's an appointment that anybody's going to approve, you can put it on hold for right now to come back and meet, see if there's other people that wanna come forward.
I spoke with the county election official and she told me that you have 60 days to come to consensus and decide on someone. Otherwise, after the 60 days, then it's forced to go to an election. And you can meet as many times as you want, but it has to be posted every time that you're going to appoint someone.
Sandy, when did the 60
Well,
days
what I would
start?
like to do is open
Today.
it up the whole town today.
Is that one?
I don't care if it does cost $4,000.
No, the election official told me it's 60 days, they have 60 days
For
from
5
today
months
to
on
come
it.
to consensus.
Open election anyway,
I didn't think of this.
so we're gonna spend $6,000 on an election and have it again in 5 months.
I just feel that that's an issue the whole town needs to be in.
You didn't agree with the committee when you voted?
I just said, okay, go, but I'm changing my mind. I have perfect excuse to do that.
She is correct, you could keep meeting, people can come forward that wanna, that doesn't just have to be I understand there's 3 of them. Doesn't just have to be the 3.
the 60 days started?
I think it's when you resign, but I'm trying to find it because I'd given that information to. But I can certainly tell you, I mean, later on, but I mean, you need to meet quickly, I know that. I think it's 60 days of when John resigned, but that's my recollection from the top of my head.
And if you have an open election,
That's
then
fine.
you turn around and you do it again.
The only election date that we have left before November's August 26th, I think.
And Deb said that she needs, I believe it was 31 days. We have to notify her, and then in 31 days, we can have an election.
Yeah, but the person, Scott, would be only fulfilling.
Just a short amount.
Yeah.
Okay.
It beats at the end of the term.
But regardless, if you don't fill it by the 60 days, you have to go to.
You have to.
Regardless, you have to go to election. So I mean, that's not an option.
It's not an option.
Okay.
And what's the cost in the election?
4,000 to 6,000.
So somebody, you guys can table it for now and then make another meeting, or if somebody wants to make a motion for somebody else, you guys can try that.
No, hell, go to election. Let's spend some money. Do it. Let's waste some money.
That would be.
Well,
Is that a motion?
We already wasted a month. Let's waste some 5,000.
I mean, if someone's interested, it gives them a chance to buy their.
By all means, let's kill another month. Let's waste $5,000. 4 months before open election.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Make a motion. Can we make a motion to do that?
Oh, wait, you guys don't have that on the, no, it's just, you just said consider appointment of council member. So you didn't do consider placing on a special election.
We've done stupider things, we just won't join another one.
I will just back it up 2 more weeks.
We already wasted time on a committee that agreed to appoint somebody and then pissed backwards.
Well,
That's the first time I ever heard somebody go on.
No, it's not the same group. You guys did it too.
consider approval of appointment to the Historic Preservation Commission. Diana Upton Hill said she would go back on for another term. We've got 2 that are off. Chris Ball's off and Doug Dixon's off. Who did I tell you?
Jen Cronin.
Yeah, Jennifer Cronin said she would fill one of the seats, so that they still have to try to find a couple. And Butch Priester's on right now, but they've moved. So when he gets back in the country, he's gonna send in his resignation also, so we need more people on that committee, so. Anybody knows of anybody, or if there's anybody listening that's interested in being on that committee, we would like for them to come forward. So I guess for now, we'll just vote on Diana Upton Hill and Jim Cronin.
And that's basically what the museum over here.
No, it's the square. It's as far as, they're a committee that basically tells you what you can and can't do to follow the guidelines of preserving the buildings on the square.
And
Hey, Dan. I'm sorry. Page 25, 5.10. By appointment has to be within 40 days after the vacancy occurs. So 40 days after John resigned. I don't know when that date was.
May 31st.
So you guys are coming up.
Yeah, well, our ordinance is different.
Correct. I was trying to find it, and I couldn't find it earlier.
So I need a motion to approve Diana Upton Hill and Jen Cronin to fill 2 of the vacant seats on the Historic Preservation.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consider approval of the housing incentive plans for the following parcels. Parcel 0100-535, parcel 010-12814, 0100-5350, and 0100-8820.
Is this a second one for Lincoln Lynch?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I just
Well, I
clarifying
was,
that.
did Adam, did we have 3 the first time or 4?
3.
Okay, so these 2 for Adam. There wasn't one for Adam the first time.
No.
Got questions?
no, I
Motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consider approval to rezone 106 and 108 West Walnut Street from R3 to C1.
The Plan Commission has recommended this rezoning at their last meeting, which also included the public hearing for this purpose. Property is owned by Hamilton's, it's right behind City Hall. Council's already given its consent to this from the standpoint of being a neighbor. So we made notice to the Plan Commission that we find the zoning acceptable. But given that this is now a council action as opposed to a property owner's rights action, council is being asked to formally approve this rezoning.
Move to approve.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Heather, would this not be a roll call because it's a rezone?
That would be correct.
Okay.
Earl,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Consider approval of transfer resolution for end of fiscal year 2019.
We've put together the final transfers to get all of our accounts into the positive. Attachment is, as presented to you all, we've made one change at the very end. This afternoon, we added a transfer from the general fund of $24,450.68 to go to the firefighting equipment special projects fund because we haven't yet received the reimbursement from the townships for the grant that is actually funding most of this purchase. So therefore, what we're doing is we're adding that from the general fund with the understanding that once the funding is brought in from the neighboring towns that we provide service with, that money would go back into the general fund. Otherwise, this has been unchanged from earlier. The highlights here, we talked about how to pay for DC trails, $20,000 is coming out of road use tax, $30,000 out of hotel motel with the understanding that $10,000 of that $30,000 would be this year's allocation to DC trails would go into this project. As a result of this $50,000, this project would be closed out. Airport study phase 1, we're closing up that project to put the money into the airport pond project, the pond removal project, which is underway and which has 90-10 grant funding that is coming from the FAA. We have $179,609.68 going from the fund balance of the sewer fund to the sewer plant construction fund. That's to take care of engineering costs we've gotten thus far. Understand that the reimbursement of that through the SRF loans is possible. So that money could actually be restored to the sewer fund itself through the loan payment. Unless you want to keep the loan costs down some, you can make that decision later. 13,939.99 is going to the CDBG energy efficiency to close out that project fund, which is expected to be done not in 2109 but 2019. That project is awaiting some grant funding to help us close that out too. Closing out a $4,097.27 amount on a solar project from 2017. Emergency tax funds, every year we receive property taxes under the 27-cent a year to get that money collected so that then it goes into the general fund, ostensibly to offset expenditures related to public safety. And then $165,000 in the general fund coming from electric to offset costs that are still short in the general fund with a balance of about $25,000. Last year's fund balance was negative $77,512. The main issue on this one is that we've had a lot of overruns in public safety as it relates to fire equipment, but more particularly also the police department has had a lot of personnel costs through Sevens and through training for new employees that have come on this year.
The other shortfalls in this really is some of the revenues that were projected in this past fiscal year didn't quite meet that number. But all said and done, this is really about some unanticipated expenditures that we've received in public safety this past year. We made a lot of purchases of equipment because we knew that we got some word on some grant funding and simultaneously some of the carryovers that we had from the last year, which was not anticipated again. At any rate, the budget is balanced. We have all accounts in the positive. If you recall that last year we had several in the negative, we're not going to do that anymore. And as a result, we've added an extra 25,000 in here just to have a positive balance with an understanding that if we have a similar cash position like we are at the end of this year for next year, I hope that we wouldn't have to make this kind of a transfer.
Did we go over our budget number that we had for the year?
And I'm not sure if I have if there's a report that is in here to show that. So some account lines are over, some are under. We also look at things by function, and the function report, I think, is probably on page 22, 23 of the packet.
Be nice to have that sheet to see where we ended as to where we planned on being.
Okay, let's see. I think it would be helpful to look at, go to page. Okay, let's take a look at page 12 of that packet that's together with the binder clip. And it's called the Treasurer's Report, and this is as of the end of May. And you can see the funds, their balance on May 30th, the May revenue, the year-to-date revenue, what was budgeted, and then your percent of the budget. That's for revenue, and then the right-hand side of the page shows your expenses and the percent of the budget.
These transfers are being made with the assumption of approval of the claims tonight, and that no other checks would be going through the city between now and the end of the calendar, or at the end of the fiscal year. That includes the payroll that just went out today. So we have no expectation of any other expenditures, and at this point, I think that we do have we have a budget that is, if you look at all the accounts, has come in above. The revenues exceeded expenditures in all the accounts combined. You can easily tell that by the special projects funds, where there's a lot of unexpended money, and you can also check that against those expenditures that you see in the general fund. I think, didn't you say, Brenda, that we have a general fund that right now in all combinations is $424 in the hole? Is that what it was?
No, that's what it was at the end of May,
End of May,
May 31. As of, at 3:37 this afternoon, the general fund is sitting at a balance of a negative 128,332.93. And with the transfers that we have proposed in the resolution, that will bring it up to $31,223.32.
And that's the only fund that we had that was negative, correct?
We had,
Going into operating fund, not between the 3 or 4 utilities and that's the only one that was negative.
well, we had negative, we're bringing the resolution because we did have some funds that were negative.
Those other ones were capital project accounts.
Yeah, okay,
We're closing those out.
yes.
The year-to-date stuff that you have right now is the report that's at the end of May. We actually are past that as far as the resolution is concerned.
Any questions about that? Got a motion to approve or not approve?
Move to approve resolution to, make appropriate inter-fund transfers of sums and record the same in the appropriate manner for year 2019 to the city of Bloomfield, Iowa.
Darren,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Earl,
Yes.
Consider and discuss professional services agreement with HR Green regarding the state revolving loan fund sponsored project application with an estimate fee of $13,700.
Yes, that was which one is that? We have two different proposals on there. Is that for the survey for the North Street?
No, it's the other one.
What's the other one? Which one? I can't remember, I didn't print it off.
F.
Which one is that?
Yeah.
Can you, Tanya, which one did you say on that? I don't have it, sorry.
it's the SRF sponsored project.
Oh, yes, SRF sponsored project. So, this was to complete the SRF sponsored project application. So we met with, myself and Chris met with Teresa from HRG, and we went around to look at, some stormwater, projects we possibly do. This talks about that money we can get to add in, basically to get a grant for SRF and use that for street. So we just need authorization to go ahead and put the application together, and we'll have to have more of a definitive plan once further into the application on where we're gonna spend the money, what we're gonna do. So basically, this is just to get the process started, to get our name in the hat. We have to follow a timeline to meet the state, fund timelines to get in, so.
So it's nothing but a grant.
Right. Grant and process to get in there for the state revolving funds, process.
To do what?
Well, basically to do just stormwater. There's other, like stormwater, like talking to Scott earlier about some, stormwater issues we have on Jones Street. We have some, but this is to improve our stormwater issues. So this gets into, increasing, possibly off of like, be North Street flow into Boatman's Pond and making sure water's better going into there. You know, possibly looking at between Northland Drive and Deborah Drive, the creek that goes down in there through our, where we have a lift station down in there, other areas to improve stormwater stuff. Mayor saw a picture of potential issue stormwater there in front of, Hyman's house there coming off of by Jefferson, you know, wherever there's stormwater runoff and trying to improve areas, looking at ways to maybe possibly build stormwater retention ponds or just anything like that. So we don't have any definitive plans on where we're at. We got some ideas just like that. I was talking about some of those ideas that's out there, but in order to get into that, we got to get the application in and we can start, you know, basically evolve as we go on what we want to do and get approved. So we have a lot of, you know, like everything else, there's a lot of stormwater issues everywhere. It's just a matter of trying to figure it out. Same thing on the you know, the southeast corner of town, figuring out how to get, you know, the drainage over there. So.
Any more questions on that or discussion? Motion.
Move to approve.
Darren,
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Scott? Earl?
Yes.
Review and request direction regarding an amendment to the master agreement for municipal engineering services with HR Green for design and proposed 2019 North Street paving improvements.
That's basically what it is, just amend our agreement so we can have them work on North Street to do that. We've had a surveyor in town that was a different you know, thing we got going on. So the surveyors here are doing that, prepping to go to design for North Street. Get that going, so. You want to add that, or?
The only thing I might add is, thank you for getting the survey going right away. So we should be able to hit the ground running as soon as we get the survey data in early July, or in July. We're allowing 6 weeks for design, and working on from that, we're targeting a letting in for the project in September. And with the letting in September, the contracts to be signed and all that, contract probably won't be going until October. So that's a very short time frame to get this constructed by the end of November for substantial completion. Not a lot of time. So brace yourself. We may not get bids. Bids may come in high, and we'll just have to you know, scrap the plans until next year when you can have a larger project. But thought we'd give it a shot, and just the cost of a letting, and maybe we can get built this fall. If not, we'll make a larger project next year.
Could be a pretty expensive project. Could be a pretty expensive project.
It could be. That's what we'll have to evaluate at the time. You do have the right to reject all bids.
Is the master agreement a resolution?
Is it a resolution?
I don't think so. I think you could
Well,
just.
this needs to be 60,000.
Professional fees.
Any contract over 25 has got to be done through resolution.
What are the professional fees on it, do you know?
Maybe, like he's talking about 1703, number 1. A resolution must be passed to spend public funds in excess of $25,000 on any one project, or to accept public improvements and facilities upon their completion.
Yeah, but just professional services exempt from that part. It's not a project, it's a professional service.
Well, it's gonna get billed to that project. I mean, that's how it's gonna get paid for. It's gonna be in the cost of that North Street project.
We have a master agreement already in place, and that's been approved. So what we're talking about is amending it. We're not actually talking about spending more money, we're just talking about shifting the time.
But what's the master agreement include?
That was for all of the work that we're doing, 10, 12 blocks. We're talking about expediting this portion of it this year. We originally said that we're going to do it all at once and do it all assumedly next year. We're trying to expedite these 2 blocks so that we can get that done this year because of the nature of the deterioration. Not spending more money, we're just spending it in a different fashion.
I mean, if it was already approved, I mean, I don't know if it was or was not.
Does the master agreement fall under the 2 million that we got for streets?
That's what it was for, yes.
Does it fall under that?
I think what he means, are you saying, does it fall under that budget? Is that going over the budget? Is that?
That's what I mean, is it under that, does the master agreement fall under the resolution that we did to fix the streets?
This would be a portion of that $2 million.
Here, the master agreement that's referenced, that this is an amendment to, is the master agreement between the city and HRD. That was.
What is that agreement?
Provide engineering services.
To provide engineering services at so many dollars an hour, blah, blah, blah. So this contract
This is an amendment to
is an
that.
amendment to that. That is under the threshold. This is not.
Okay. I'm just saying that that's an amendment to that master agreement between the city and HRD for all services.
Because this, I can understand that the amendment to the that's what I was trying to get at. The master agreement is for the 4,000 a month or whatever it is that, or up to.
But did we not also approve an agreement with HR Green as it relates to the $2 million engineering? I mean, maybe the term master agreement is inappropriate here. We have done an understanding with HR Green to do that work. That's just a portion of this $2 million.
I'm not saying likewise. I'm not saying that we haven't agreed for them to do the work. All I'm saying is that this agreement is for not to exceed 60,000 to do North Street. I need to know why it's not in form of a resolution.
The only question that I have is not there been a resolution already to approve HR Green's work as it relates to.
That's a question you'll have to answer us.
I think Sandy's looking for it.
Oh, while she's looking, we'll move on. Or is there anything else on this? Consider approval of temporary Class B and Class C beer and wine permit with outdoor service of Bloomfield Main Street Incorporated.
Move to approve.
Scott,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Earl,
No.
Darren,
Yes.
Consider approval of cigarette tobacco permits for the following businesses: Casey's General Store, Dollar General Store, Jay's One Stop, and Route 63 Quick Stop.
Move to approve.
Second.
Darren,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Earl,
No.
Discuss and give direction regarding salary resolution for non-union personnel effective July 1, 2019.
You all have seen the email exchange that I've had with our city attorneys regarding what happens if the salary resolution is not approved. I don't know. I've asked Heather also in an email about what happens if we don't do this. I have had no response. I don't know what we're gonna do.
I think we're starting to put in the cart before the horse, you're just assuming that it's gonna be denied.
Well, tonight's the deadline.
Well, maybe wait and see what's gonna be denied.
Do we know?
How would I know what they're gonna do?
It's not us, it's up to the mayor. The mayor has to sign it.
Again,
We approved the resolution at the last meeting, he hasn't signed the resolution.
okay, so it passed last time,
3-1.
so then you would have the time period to veto it or not veto it if you want.
Up until today, yeah. We're wondering.
Why are you looking at me?
I'm just saying, we need to know. We don't know what's gonna happen. If this thing is not effective, what does that mean?
Well, then that means those salaries do not increase.
Does
So-
that mean that the old salary resolution is still in effect?
So that would mean that they stay in the same place that they're at currently.
We have new employees that have, that are on, that would start on July 1st. What happens with them?
Be under the same old resolution, whichever one was approved.
There wasn't one then.
Okay, and we'll have to go back and look and see what we're gonna have to do about it. So you're gonna have to pull old resolutions to figure out where we're at.
It's very simple, Heather. We have one new employee that's been put onto the pay plan. We have an entire police department that went through a pay plan evaluation and implemented. That's a part of this. Do we
So
say that?
Gary, what I would say is it probably a conversation that we can have after we know what in the world's gonna happen.
Okay, then we'll have that conversation with the mayor. What should we do, Mayor?
Well, for one, we should have started this discussion clear back in April or May, because everybody was aware that there was some differences in the pay plan. But we wait till the last minute to bring it out so that
The budget was
we don't
approved.
have time to discuss it without having an issue.
The
We
budget,
approved it in the budget. You got.
That doesn't matter, the budget's the budget. It doesn't mean anything you put in that budget changes. That doesn't mean that it's,
We
It's
agreed
gold.
to it at the council.
No, we
in the
didn't.
budget.
we did not agree to the resolution for the pay during the budget
We
process.
budgeted for it.
I don't
It
care.
doesn't mean you approve it.
the council approved it unanimously.
In the budget.
They approved the
Okay,
budget,
if
but
we approve the budget, then why did we have to approve the resolution for the pay?
Why do you have to do that? Because it's a local ordinance that requires it, and guess what? We checked with the state, we've checked with other sources, it's an ordinance that doesn't necessarily even have to be here. We're doing it by local preference.
Well, you're doing it because the local code says so.
Says so.
That's what I just said, we're doing it by local
Just because you
preference.
budget something
There's no
6 months
state
in advance doesn't mean.
There's
you
no state
approve the
requirement for it, so we've approved the budget, we still are gonna have to do it again, so the question then is are we going to do it? Now, we all know what the score is here, the vote was 3-1, it was approved, but if this issue is vetoed, then come tomorrow, we have to bring it back to the council for an override. The override requires 4 votes, 4 out of 5 seats in the council, not 4 out of the 4 seats that we have right now. So if the vote stays the same as it is right now, a 3-1 vote will not override a veto. So the question is, what happens between now and July 1st?
You know the issue holding it up
Well, for one, the police department
is a separate issue.
pay resolution was already, it was approved fully by everybody. It shouldn't even be attached to the other resolution that we're doing now. It should be its own separate thing, and that's what I said last meeting. Why is it even part of this? Because it's already been done.
What are you looking at me for? He said that it was passed by resolution with the police
The
department.
police department one was already done and
We have
passed.
approved the other resolution in the past too, or the other pay plan in the past also.
When we asked you for what the budget resolution said, all it said was the budget is approved. That's all it said. It didn't say these employees have these salaries. It didn't say that.
And the budget resolution didn't say that for the police department either.
Okay, my
But we
understanding is there's a
have a
budget
pay
resolution.
plan that's already in place for the other people that was before then.
Doesn't the budget, the resolution that you're talking about, doesn't it specifically relate? to
We
the
had a
police
resolution that, and when we did the resolution for the police department, we stated at that point that we wanted it kept separate from the other one, so that it was only for the police department, it was done in a resolution, and it was passed.
The other,
So why is it even
the
attached
other-
to this one?
The other circumstances is separate from the other pay plan, which is already in existence.
But the other pay plan's only good from July 1 to July 1. It's a year-to-year resolution.
Okay, he's saying there's a resolution. If you guys want me to look at this stuff, that's fine, but I need all the documents, which my understanding is Gayla asked you to give her the resolution. And so the only resolution we got was a budget resolution. That was my understanding.
I wasn't asked by Gayla for that.
Okay, well, that was my understanding.
Who got that information?
I was told that Gayla had asked that, so I guess if she did not, then that's my understanding. But again, why are you having us look at stuff when we don't even know if it's gonna happen yet?
Well,
He's trying to get around the council from having to approve the pay plans, so he
No,
can do it all himself.
No, I'm not. What I'm trying to find out is what do I tell the employees tomorrow if you veto this?
You know, there's one issue that's,
What's the issue, Darren?
the 3% and the 2% stacked up.
Then how come the police department gets even more than that this year?
Because they were way behind. Way behind.
And that was the same reason why
But
we put
here's the
together
thing.
the other pay plan.
It's not everybody that gets it. It's only a certain few that get the 3% and the 2%.
And that was the reason why we did the other pay plan. It was to get that, the same reason for the police department was for the other pay plan.
Well, then why don't everybody in that pay plan get 5% instead of most of them?
Because some of
only
these
get 2%?
people were at top of scale to begin with. Danny's salary right now is in a pay plan step process. When he gets at the top of scale, his salary would be identical to Ted Henderson's if Ted Henderson was still working here and getting the same 2%. It's not that Danny was getting more, he's building up to that point, which is the same type of pay plan that you approved for the police department.
Well, the police department starts, they get a raise, and then when they reach top of scale, they start getting 2%. This one they get a raise plus 2% on top of that.
Not in the upcoming fiscal year,
Yeah, they do.
because we built it off of a 2% premise to begin with.
And we never liked that to begin with.
But you approved it.
Not we.
The council did.
Okay, so is there not there's a resolution specifically for the police department, correct? Is that correct?
Yes.
And there is not a specific resolution for this other pay?
Not this year because the pay plan's been in place.
The police department, we come up with a new pay plan. So it had its own resolution. The pay plan for the non-union employees was their own resolution last year because the police department wasn't included.
The police department was given the raise they were because they were so far behind that they couldn't keep police officers.
And that was the rationale for the pay plan
So
for the
now-
management people too, 2 years ago.
They've added
I don't agree.
he put the
You weren't even here for some of that.
police department.
That's why I don't agree with it.
So wait, is there a non-union employee resolution that was set in place 2 years ago,
1 year ago.
1 year ago? Can I see that?
Well, I don't have it, obviously, I mean, we get it.
Can I, Okay, can I see that, please? That's something,
I can't produce it today, sure. We'll produce a pay plan that's been in existence.
okay, so I need to see that in order to know what to do. If he vetoes it.
Can I ask the question, Mayor, are you gonna veto it?
If we don't come to a conclusion tonight, yes,
What is the conclusion that you propose?
it needs to, I would like to see it changed.
What is the proposal that what is the conclusion that you propose? What is it that
They
you
need,
want to
if they
change?
get a 3% step through their yearly process, okay, fine. They don't start getting 2% until they It needs to be a flat base start. So if you start at 65,000, you get 3% for 3 years, and then at the end of that, you start getting 2% because you're at top of scale. That whole slide and everything, 2% plus an increase, I don't like. And that's what we did with the police departments. We started when we set a flat rate. You get this raise, you get this raise, and when you reach top of scale, you start getting 2%.
So that's okay, so that's what it is, so people who are at top of scale right now get that? Get their 2%, is that what you're saying?
I have no problem with the people at the top of scale getting 2%.
Then there needs to be a
What I have an
motion,
issue with is
there
the
needs to
people
be a
getting 5%
there
getting there.
needs to be a motion to do that then.
We can't. It's not on the agenda.
Discuss and give direction.
We give direction, but we can't vote on it. We couldn't vote on having an election for a council member.
But that, I mean, you have on here discuss and give direction, and then you have all items on the agenda are subject to a vote at the bottom.
Well, then why can't we do
Because
that?
that's a completely different thing. You're talking about appointment versus a special election.
It's still not gonna get done in time to get approved. Because we'll have to see the new pay plan before we can approve it.
You guys could always do a special meeting.
Mayor, do I take it that all pay plans should not have what you're talking about as the sliding scale?
In my opinion, yes.
Okay, then does that mean that when we go into labor negotiations, we negotiate that out of the AFSCME agreement?
I don't know if you should go into that at this point in time.
It's a philosophical issue, it's not a direction. I guess it's good for the unions, but not for the rest of us.
They only get 2%.
They don't get 2%. Those people who are in the step plans also get their steps on top of the 2%. There's a couple of union people here, ask them. Don't say that, David, you did too.
I didn't.
Well,
You're shaking your head, no.
All we got, when I was going through it, you got your steps and until you got to the top, you could get the raise.
2%. We were doing that too.
That's the way it was when I come through. I don't know what
You
you're
got
doing
your
now.
steps, and when you got to the top of scale, you got your 2%.
And you got the
2% raise on
2%,
July 1st.
you got the 2%
Up until
that
then,
went
you got
into
the
scale.
raise on your higher bid.
I don't know that they did percentages back then. It wasn't just a dollar
It
amount.
was cents,
You got so many cents, and that's all you got.
but you
till
didn't get
got the
that
top
until
of
after you
scale.
got the top of scale.
Not the approvals that have been going on for a while here.
Well, that's the difference between union and non-union, I guess.
So we don't rate, is that it?
not doing, sorry, Darren, don't even.
What's that?
I said if one more council member leaves, the meeting's done.
You asking somebody to leave?
No, I'm just saying, it's getting close,
I'll go.
it's close.
That's why we started at 6, because I knew he had to go at 7. I was trying to get through it as fast as we could.
I left my grandson's ball game to get here at 6.
Well, you would have called me and we could have.
Made an adjustment.
Well,
update everybody if they let me know what's going on.
Okay.
I don't know how much of the union stuff we can talk about. That makes us kind of.
I'm just talking about what we're doing philosophically. This is not an issue of union negotiation. This is what we've been doing with the unions for a while. It's not about negotiation. This is about what we've been doing with the unions. Heather, by the way, because of this, do we need to put the union people in this salary resolution?
The union people be in the salary resolution. It says, council shall authorize by resolution the number, duties, terms, and office of compensation employees, otherwise not otherwise provided by state law or the code of ordinances. So you guys are, the union is separate, so why would we do that?
I'm asking only from the standpoint of why is that different than anything else?
Because you guys have said that it is. The code has said that it is.
Okay, but how does the code differentiate the union people from non-union people?
Because that's separate, and you guys have a separate thing for the union,
A separate thing, I mean, what do you mean by that?
because it's separate.
They have their own
Separate
contract.
They have
contract,
their own
yeah,
contract.
yeah.
And we do theirs by resolution. When we approve their contract, we do it through resolution.
We've had one resolution to approve that contract for a long time, it's just effectively amending it now.
We still go through the
You still go through everything
voting
like that,
process and
and
all
approved
that
by
to do it.
resolution.
Okay. Asking, because I'm trying to understand this exactly, the nature of this local.
And I've already told you, if you wanna take, if the council wants to take out by resolution, they can amend their ordinances and take out by resolution, and then you have no problem. That's another option.
Not by resolution, by ordinance, right?
You'd have to change the ordinance, yeah.
Yeah, you said the resolution, is that,
Oh, okay, well, if I misspoke, I mean, you have to
yeah, I
change
was
the
just
ordinance.
trying to make sure.
It says by resolution, if you wanna change your ordinances
Right.
and remove that, remove it, and you'd be fine.
Okay.
So that would be another option.
And the resolution to be, change the ordinance, be vetoed.
Any sort of, maybe you have to veto the ordinance, but yeah.
You know the ordinance.
What do you want to do? If we come to an agreement in the next couple weeks, I mean, you can always, you can always go back to July 1 to start to pay.
I still have one employee that is included in this pay plan that has never been in this pay plan. It's a new employee that we've authorized to put into the pay plan and start employment on July 1st.
You started a new employee in the new pay plan that we haven't even approved yet?
You approved the salary range and in the context of that, the pay plan for that particular position.
You should have been started at what the pay plan was, what the pay plan.
There was no positioning of that person in the pay plan because the job didn't exist. Does the job exist?
What job is that?
Brenda's.
I don't know that we approved that pay for that job either.
Yes, you
We talked
did.
about it.
You did it with the approval of the job description and approval of the budget.
You get a lot of that stuff thrown in that budget. Just because we approved the budget doesn't mean that everything in it goes.
I guess
Really?
the current pay would be frozen.
What current pay? There's no job right now. She's a limited term employee that has a 1-year expiration. We agreed that this job would start July 1st. There is no job until July 1st. And July 1st, it's in the pay plan. Does this job exist? That's a question. I don't know the answer.
And we passed it 3-1.
You passed the pay plan, you passed the salary resolution 3-1.
Yeah. And we improved that job description and stuff earlier.
With the salary range that's reflected in the pay plan. A salary that would start at bottom of scale. Or bottom of range, I should say.
Well, I guess you better come to an agreement, all right.
Well, maybe it's up to you guys.
Oh, it's up to you.
I have no say in it. You have to vote. And there's 2 of you that say no, 2 of you said yes. A third person who said yes to the salary resolution is now gone. We have no other choices here.
You can also table these things and do a special meeting on them. But I don't even know if and maybe I missed it, but well, he hasn't vetoed it yet either, the veto motion.
But you just said that he's going to veto it if the current pay plan is in place.
But it hasn't been vetoed yet.
Okay. Is the deadline midnight tonight, by the way? What's
14 days.
14 days counting hours, or is it?
It's just days, so that midnight, he would not be able to do it in 12:01.
All right.
I got the letters, I just ain't handed them out yet.
Okay. So you're gonna veto it. Okay, so what are we gonna do now?
I think the DPW and the, whatever Chris's title is, should be an ordinance anyhow, it should be completely separate, and that should all be done different. They should have their own, clear away from the salary resolution for everybody else. Cause I think there should be more performance based than should be just automatic.
That's not the way it currently is in the.
I know it's not, but I'm just discussion here. That's how I think it should be.
Keelan.
Who makes a determination? Because right now, that would be the city administrator.
I'd like to see that changed also, but
So if we, let me run this, Dan, if we, where we're thinking that, if I'm getting this right, we, eliminate the 2% COLA raises until we reach the top of pay plan. Would be the only adjustment. And that would be suitable.
yeah, so I mean, if we would take the DPW and the economic development director out,
Are they the only ones that haven't reached top of pay plan?
and Brenda's in her position, but she would start, so that one would need to be, because it would have the 3% plus 2% in it also.
So just basically, anybody that hasn't reached top of pay plan doesn't get the 2%.
Okay, hold the show. So Sandy tells me that this resolution was approved. I don't have a number with it, but she says it was approved, but I have the draft on the phone, assuming that this was approved. You guys.
That was what was in the council packet.
Oh, okay, well, then, I mean, it does say, it's a resolution that adopts the wage and salary resolution moving forward for 2020, and this is signed, and this is a salary resolution
For which one?
for non-police. I mean, it's not signed, but I mean, if that's correct, that it was signed.
It's not signed, is it?
She just gave me the one on her phone. I'm assuming if there's one,
It's not signed. That's the one we did last meeting.
No.
No, that's a salary resolution.
so if this is accurate, if that was signed, then this would be a resolution that would comply with your code. But she just pulled it up on her phone, so that's why I just asked her, are you sure that was signed? And she said yes, so that's why she just sent, so look up here. So down here, non-police, you need to take a break, so they can all look at this. It says non-police.
When was it?
Keely's going to get the book.
So if that was signed, then that would be effective. That would be a resolution for compensation of non-police people.
Okay, this says.
You guys want to, if you left, you want to move on to something else? So come back?
Well, you got two salary resolutions for the 2% for the chief and myself. What do you want to do?
I don't know if those are.
Discuss and give direction regarding resolution for salary increase for chief of police.
In the chief's case, what's listed there is what we agreed to in the pay plan. Which is a phase-in over a 2-year period of time, and this is the first of the 2 years.
Gary, you saying it should be part of the same resolution or some other resolution?
The ordinance for the chief
Oh, yeah, it's already part of that, never mind.
states that it has to be done by resolution.
Right.
So it has, it was part of the other resolution that we had last meeting, but it needs to be taken out.
So that's the number in there. That's what that number reflects, is what you did for the pay plan.
Motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Earl,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Discuss and give direction regarding resolution for salary and approving 2% increase for salary for city administrator.
The 2% indexed off of what the unions make, but that's only for the people that are at the top of scale.
Motion.
Move to approve.
Earl,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Approve claims as presented.
I've already looked at them. I move with approval.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comments?
You never went back.
I like-
and handled-
I like clerk.
I don't think you ever went back and handled G.
Yeah. So, engineering.
Did we get the answer on that?
the master service agreement was not approved by resolution. However, there wasn't any, it had a list of their charges. It didn't have a dollar amount as a fee. So that's why it was not approved by resolution. What?
That's clear as mud.
Shouldn't we should we not have a resolution that lists all them fees in it?
It isn't required, it is not over 20, there was no notice in there that it was over 25,000. I don't know how much.
I mean, it could be.
It just had a list of their charges, like an engineer is this amount, and I don't remember what it was, an intern is this amount. Just different levels of employees charge this amount of money.
So this is just an estimate of what you think the project is gonna cost.
All the classification, all the information. Pretty general.
And I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, should we not adopt a resolution that's got that in it? Just,
We have a signed contract, I don't.
We're not doing a construction project
I
here.
think that you're okay with just approving without a resolution, if that's what you're asking, because it's already been approved master-wise. And it says not to exceed fee of 60,000, so you still don't know if it's going to be above 25,000.
We've entered into a contract with them to do this work.
If it helps, I mean, we'll accelerate the project with the survey already on. If you want to do it the first meeting in July. We're not gonna lose any time. You need time to write a resolution.
do you think we need one or don't need one?
If you want to be completely correct with your code, and if you want to wait, then I would say do it by resolution. But I don't really know how, I mean, there's a contract, so I don't really know how we'd be able to change it, because I mean, they could just stick with their original contract and, I mean, just charge you by the hour too. I think they're just kind of trying to give you an
Well,
idea.
this is a specific project that will have its own, I mean, the resolution will state not to exceed 60,000 for the North Street I mean, is that not right?
Good.
You do it that way. I mean, you have a master agreement as it is. I mean, it's.
I'm okay with waiting.
I mean, the master agreement is our hourly fees for small projects and all that.
Well, it covers all projects.
It does.
That's why the pay scale is.
I guess we-
I mean, this is not a construction project right now. This is just engineering work.
I just think if we're gonna agree to do something with somebody that's over 25,000, we need to follow the code that says we need to have a resolution to do it. And if he's willing to wait, if he's gonna go ahead and proceed with the work,
I won't be able to be at that meeting, so if you got any
I
questions
mean, we can
specific to that.
approve to do it upon getting, upon doing the resolution for it.
Pending approval, pending resolution.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are still gonna be working on it, right?
Yeah, that's fine. We do that.
I move we give
You're gonna bet on the
tentative,
town with it.
I move we give tentative approval pending resolution.
Worst case is he can bill us at our contract rate.
Yeah,
Which
that's what I was
would be
trying to say.
Yeah.
Which would be worse. Which would be worse.
Well, you read the rules, why don't you have the resolution here to do it
I
right?
got you, Mayor, got you. Note taken.
All right. That hasn't changed from day one, and we've talked about it hundreds of times, but we try to do everything to get around it.
Okay.
All in favor of,
Did you get a second?
I don't know, you can second it?
I'll second it, yes.
all in favor of the tentative agreement till we get the resolution?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comments.
I want someone to clarify where we're at on getting a replacement council person. No offense, but nobody seems to know exactly what we need to do, and several of us should know exactly what we need to do. So what are we doing?
So they are the ones that decide whether or not they want to appoint somebody. The avenue they choose is whatever avenue they want to choose. If they want to do another interview, they can. If they want to instead do a special meeting to say that they want to proceed just as a special
So
election.
it's in the council's hands, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, not the mayor's, it's in the council members' hands.
And we got some timelines, and if so, what are they?
Yep, so you have 40 days after John resigned, because that was when the vacancy occurred. That was May 31st.
May 31st, so then 40 days would be when?
July 10th?
July 10th.
And if it's not done by July 10th, then it has to go to election to fill the remaining portion of the.
Has there ever been a special election to fill a council seat? Ever?
Other cities have had it.
No, I mean in Bloomfield.
I have
Gary,
no idea.
you're one of the oldest
I
council
don't, I've
members.
been trying to think, Darren, I don't ever remember seeing them when I searched the records for information.
Gary, I think we had one back there about the time I came on the council, I can't remember who it was.
But you know, you got the possibility of a petition asking for one.
Yep.
So
That could happen as well.
19 days, that's over.
no, it's not.
If it's 15 days, what's the deadline?
19 days.
And then 15,
It was-
19 days
but the date that,
from when we
started
on it.
there doesn't seem to be a clear definition of when those days started, but anyhow,
It started 14 days after the notice was published, whenever that notice was published.
His official date was May 31st.
14 days from when the notice was published?
Yeah.
That timeline's expired.
The notice was published on June 5th.
So June 19th. That was yesterday.
And if no decision is made by July 10th, then it goes to election anyway?
Correct. So if nobody's appointed by July 10th, it's going to special election regardless.
Not applying, but council approving, correct?
You're talking about, so, explain to me what you mean by that. So if the council does not appoint somebody.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, then it goes to special election,
Okay.
so they
period.
have to appoint someone no later than July 10th.
Yes.
Okay.
And if not, then it goes to special election whenever in the world the special election can be held. Sounds like August 31 days after.
August 26th is what the county auditor told me was the only other day left before November to have an election.
So you have-
Evidently, there are certain days of the year they can have elections, and August 26th or not, somewhere in there is the only other time.
I don't, the election person would know that, not me. So do you know?
Deb told me that we have several choices of days to have an election. I
So-
talked to her yesterday.
And then that person, whoever is elected, would be there until the next election.
$6,000.
So not a long time period.
Now they take over immediately after the election or until January?
They'll take over immediately after the election.
Till January.
Until
January,
yeah.
January 1.
When you install the
I'm
new.
not sure though when you're filling a vacancy.
Well,
I'm not sure there's any difference there.
well, if we do a special election, there won't be a vacancy, it'll be filled.
Yeah, it'll be filled
True.
until, he said,
So whoever,
Till whenever
if that
his is
person
over.
doesn't run,
until his term was over. The individual, whenever you want to be like that.
Election day would be November 5th.
And then you'll have
Any
another,
other-
then you'll have another election.
In answer to your questions, thinking back, when Ford Leon was mayor, that's a long time ago, I know. There was a special election for a council person, but I don't remember what ward it was. I was looking back through the history, looking for ordinances pertaining to sidewalks and building maintenance and upkeep and stuff. Is where I run across it. But that's the only one on the records I've searched that I ever came across.
any other public comments? Reports? Gary?
I received a notification today from DNR that we have facility plan approval, which means that they say that our basic plan for the sewage treatment plant is good, and that they are awaiting the final plans for their review, which is right on the schedule from which we've talked about. The expectation is that we will get the final plans submitted in a couple months, with the hope that we can get a January deadline for the sewage treatment plant. Just a reminder to the council, we now have a 3-week break, unless there's some special meeting, between council meetings, because July's council meetings are going to be the 2nd and 4th Thursdays, as well as August's will be 2nd and 4th Thursdays. I also incorporated into, I had Sandy draft it, but we talked about putting together what a typical payroll looks like. That's in your packet. In fact, I think it's the first sheet in your packet. We've heard some wild, crazy numbers about what people think the payroll is. The payroll, that you can pull it out and refer to it. Our payroll for this week totaled $65,873.59. The general fund was responsible for just over half of that at $36,919. The water utility was $72,000. The sewer utility was $71,000. The electric utility was $76,000. The gas utility was almost $7,000. As far as the general fund breakdown is concerned, the police department, out of that $36,918, the police department has $11,664. And the summertime pool operation is the second highest grouping here, paid $7,800 thus far for this payroll. Streets was $6,000, library was $3,900, Parks and Rec was $3,623. The office was $3,500, and the shop, because they are doing maintenance work, for instance, on the police department, was responsible for $366. We've heard some crazy numbers about people saying that the payroll for something is $300,000 or something. At any rate, this is what we did today when we submitted the payroll and paid the payroll to all of our employees.
Part of the office is a portion of the water, sewer, electric, and gas, isn't it?
Yeah,
So that's not,
office costs here are general fund. That's how we broke it out. There's office costs in all of these numbers on
the $65,000.
But some of the water, sewer, electric, and gas is also paying some of the wages in the office.
Yes, that's what I did say.
Majority
I'm sorry, Mayor, what?
A majority of it looks like,
Majority of what?
the office salaries.
Well, typically you have 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, and 1/5 spread out. That's how it works. And it's been that way for a long, long time.
But that's 4/5, so it is.
Right.
majority.
And I can submit to you that it's probably 4/5 the work. Some people in the office are.
So the departments only do 1/5 of the work that the office people do?
That's not what it said.
Some of the office people, by the way, are not showing in the general fund at all. For instance, the utility billing clerk is 100% out of the utilities. As an example. But I thought I'd just pass out this information just to dispel some erroneous comments that I can't figure out where they came from or whether they're really true or not. People kidding around, but this is the.
Somebody got their STEM, like $300,000 for office help.
Danny, you got anything?
Yes. So, of course, the CDBG Division 1, which is the water, is basically underway. As you know, we've been doing work on Northland Drive and then the Gregory Lane, that we've been working on this week. So everything's going, knock on wood, pretty good. We're doing real well there. So we've just had one rain day this week. Other than that, they've been really making good time and headwind. So did that. We have kind of, I guess, in a way, got some bad news this week. Our railroad right away, basically, we've been kind of squatting on over by the Chestnut Shop. We've been there for years, just where we park our equipment, park our pull yard, all that kind of stuff. That was sold last Monday. So now we have to, we basically being evicted. So we got to move all that stuff. So everything we have over there now for, like all that piping, everything that basically the Lawson has over there, plus our equipment, we have actually now a small space over there, the Chestnut Shop, and about 40 feet to the west. That's about it. So we got to move. We got to start finding some locations and move our equipment. So
About that.
ideal. So,
Did we know it was for sale?
but actually, when I first came, one of the first things I noticed was we were squatting. So I tried to get by that, and then when Keely started, had her work on intensity and trying to get that purchased, and we found out it was not available for sale about a year ago. And come to find out, the reason it wasn't for sale is because actually they've been under negotiation for about 2 years to get this done. So it finally just dropped Monday. So they have that, and they'll be moving in across the street. So anyway, so yeah, so that's
One of the things that comes out of this is the question is where we put this. We have now purchased this entire square block. We have to tear down some houses. We can move that equipment over there. The larger question, and we made a very cursory inquiry, is whether in fact we ought to put the Chestnut Shop up for sale. And just move everything down to Columbia.
We didn't have shop to do everything down there.
We have a lot of material parked outside. And in fact, we probably need to have a fenced-in yard, because now we've got some reports that somebody's been cycling gas out of some of the vehicles that we parked outside across the street.
We got a fenced-in spot across the street. You mean we need a tall fence?
right.
Electric.
Razor wire.
So I know where some fences at. Okay. So, streets have been busy patching. Been working a lot on Madison, working some other areas too. We started painting the intersection this week. We rented a piece of equipment to do that. That's just in preparation, doing some training on that, getting ready to start work on North Street. So, for making pretty good headway there. Gas, we've been the last week or so, did some proofing of commercial meters. So, the rotary meters you've had,
We don't have the final written report yet, so I do want to kind of go over that. I'll go over that in the next meeting. But for the most part, our rotary meters, which we kind of already knew, like all of our residential meters are off. We're anywhere from 5 to 15% off. So that's, we're talking about a little gas loss and being underbilled. So I'll report, one that was right on is actually the courthouse. So the courthouse has been billed correctly and everything's good. Other than that, the rest of the meters done and able to do are not within tolerance. We got to do some work on that. So we're doing that. So we've been kind of good there. Electrical, our apprenticeship, new apprentice Cole, he tested out of step 1 this past week. So he's halfway through the first year. Now he'll be working on the second half of that. The bad part of only testing out a half year is he's not allowed to go hot until he has 6 months in working for the city. So we'll work on that. And then also electrical, we have an interview for the lead position on Monday. Farm lease, we didn't get the farm leases done, so we went ahead and gave Mr. Hopkins approval just to go ahead and bail that and go with that this year again. We'll work on getting the farm lease in place for next year till we're there. And actually, maybe it's a good thing because looking at now with having to move and stage Lawson and stage bridge construction, one thing he's looking at is that hill on South Lake Road right in the middle. It's a good big open hill. It's possibly a place we could use to do storage construction for our equipment. So that might be a location we're kind of looking at. You got to find a place to move those guys to.
What about the water treatment plant parking lot? I mean, that's just.
It's just a little further away. I mean, you know, I don't know.
You don't have any rock, it's established, there's some indoor storage.
Right. So we're looking at everything. We just haven't made a decision yet. That's good. I mean, we looked at that. I even looked at, some other areas, but.
You might look at taking all this extra wire from the solar field that we got, taking it out there and storing it inside, and that would open up a bunch of that area.
Right.
Transformers and stuff like that,
Get rid of some of
get
that
them
wire,
in out of the weather.
Right. Right. So, yeah, so this, we're working on a lot of those things because it's just, like I said, this just came up this week. So we're trying to storm and get good ideas. So that's some good ones. Christner Contracting was here today. I had them look at 112, 113 Main Street, and we went through those two buildings. They're going to come back. So I should have a plan. They're going to give me an estimate to fix that front wall, stabilize it, so we can get that opened up prior to rag brine and everything. So, we're probably still gonna have to go out into the street with a brace, but we'll still have like an under sidewalk, be able to, like construction do that to kind of get through there, get that by. So, they were here today. DOT confirmation, they got another confirmation DOT email this time, definitely about that we'll get the lines painted prior to rag brine. They were actually through today working on patching, so they're basically patching the center line, doing some stuff, get ready to paint. So they're going through and getting that ready. The next step they go through painting. I want to give a basketball court update. I know basically today, I know Larry and I have been working around. We also had Steve Leonard here from North Asphalt, Vice President North Asphalt. He's here and talking about some overlay and some other stuff too. I'll get into detail more later, but on basketball courts, one of the options looking at, we need some new fence because maybe over here, but looking at possibly there's some options of maybe taking that fence out the basketball court, putting in a 3-inch overlay, new hoops and poles, maybe some lighting upgrade, painting the lines, and remove that fence. I think we could get a court going, pretty reasonable under, probably right around 20 grand. I know we got 40 grand set aside, so it just depends on what you guys want to do to get going. I think we could do that pretty easy.
Probably get with the Parks and Rec board.
Right. We just got this coming around,
I
so.
think they've got some other ideas to
Okay.
kick around too.
I just want to come up with what I had, so just whatever you want to do. Of course, I met with, again, Larry and Steve Leonard today, and we went through a bunch of stuff, and I know he's got a longer list of stuff to work on too, and we'll be getting some things coming out, because really looking at, I know we've looked at the Rolla streets, and everywhere else and talking, and Steve had some good ideas too about overlays and some sealing and some stuff like that. So what I really want to try to do is, I know we have a 10-block plan that we're trying to put together, but we're going to look at trying to, maybe extend some of that in different areas and get maybe, a 10 or 15-year extension on some of these streets and still get more done with our money, than total reconstruction of 10 blocks. So again, it's up to you guys, but we're trying to give you some more ideas and some plans to look forward to in the future. So working on that. AMI, I know we've been working on automated meters. They'll be back on August 5th. We received all of our 450 2S meters back for our electric meters. So we have our electric meters for the residential, and we have the rest of our gas smart points in. So
Basically, they're here ready for them to finish up around August 5th, so we want to get them back. Hopefully, we'll get that project kind of wrapped up. It's been too long in getting that going, so, get that going. And of course, that, my last comment, which Gary mentioned, we did have some theft of gas and diesel from our trucks that are outside in the lot, so, and I know the chief's well aware of that, and it's been reported, and we've worked on that, so, other than that, that's all I have.
What's up with our sinkholes
Is it
around?
pretty easy to find gas?
Intake drain.
Right, that's just, we've looked at those today, so we'll be working on a plan to get some of those fixed. We have, so up on, like on the corner of the square, that was basically, an old, basically how, I'm gonna get a copy of the highway map, how the highway used to do it. That's just an old way of intake that they use, so we're gonna try to rebuild that. So there's just collapse of the top and all that. So we also have one over by the Hy-Vee Pharmacy that's a hole in the back, the pipe is separated, so we're trying to work on some of that too. So we'll be, that's part of my plan, is get out and do some estimates now. Again, trying to keep it under the $48,000 threshold for bid and whatever. We're gonna get some stuff going on there.
I know if something's gonna need formed up or just filled in.
Yeah, well, yeah, both. Rebuild some intakes, basically. Some of them be rebuilt, some are just need cut and maybe redo it, but yeah, definitely. We have intakes in every different shape, size, and different, I guess, condition. We got a plan for that too, so. Other than that, I do have, I guess, basically, I'm gonna brief for, I know community development director's not here with Chris, but we have been mowing, so I know he's sending out letters, we've been mowing yards, so I know some people have seen that going on, so.
And another thing, I think Chris finally got the nuts and bolts of the dilapidated derelict housing down to the process to go through. So now he can proceed. I think he said he finally got it to where he fully understands it and is comfortable with moving forward with that.
Okay, so I don't know if you want me to, so the resolution that was passed last year is not the one that was on Sandy's phone. The resolution that was passed last year says the resolution of the city of Bloomfield, Iowa, establishing a non-union management pay plan to be effective July 1st, 2018 for fiscal year 2018 and 2019. Then it specifically listed the salaries for the employees. The only thing that I would assume only Gary can describe it, or at least I can't describe it, is it refers to attachment A. So I can bring it over to you, Gary, if you wanna,
I know it's in that. And that's what was replicated in an updated fashion as far as, not updated, kind of an updated fashion as far as what was the salary resolution
This
2 weeks
is,
ago.
well, this looks different than the one that's on Sandy's phone, completely different than the one that's on Sandy's phone.
The one that was approved 2 weeks ago was indexed off of that.
Okay, well, I can just pass this down. I mean, I don't understand the salary pay plan because he came up with it, so I don't know what it means, but there's a salary pay plan that's attached to that resolution. But it does specifically say 2018, 2019 fiscal year.
Yeah, this is the pay plan. Yeah. But if it's only for this fiscal year, then I don't know what we're gonna do, because the pay plan was intended to be effective until it's changed.
I'm just telling you that's
I
exactly,
understand.
that's exactly what the resolution says. I just read it word for word.
I understand. But the intent with the plan was just to be perpetual unless it's changed. And in fact, that's what was instituted again.
Any council updates?
Pretty much snowed my guts with the Main Street.
What?
When we done the Main Street update, I threw all what I had in there.
Early bird, you got any updates?
Yes,
on
actually,
early
I
bird?
thought I had that on my notes. Yes, early bird, okay, 6, yeah, early bird. So we done, again, working with Larry and actually meeting with the licensed surveyor that's actually here in town, talking to him. What we've done, I've actually already requested, I sent an email just before this meeting to French Reniker, but since they've already did the survey that was out there, so what we're gonna do is basically where that corner's at, basically it'd be all of, in front of Stevenson's yard. Basically, we do right-of-way acquisition plat, so basically requesting that to acquisition, that road, to write that on that side. And we're also doing the right-of-way excess plat, on the other side, for Becky's side, that actually, then it's up to you guys to decide to approve it though. So, then we basically could sell that excess to her, acquire, buy his part, that side would be the easiest way to do it, less it's just up to you guys to vote to approve that, and then it's basically there, so we can right that corner, shift it, and move it, so.
Early has completely absolved himself from any responsibilities.
So it's basically it's kind of like what you do for right-of-way acquisition when you do construction and that kind of stuff. So
So
it's
you
the same
got
kind of
word
thing.
back from him? The guy said his mother owns it, he's not involved.
His mother
His
passed
mother
away.
passed
Oh,
away.
He's involved now.
So he,
But-
I think, he doesn't want to do it.
He'll be.
So all we need is just for Stevenson to say, hey, yeah, I'll sell you this ground. And
Yeah, see, that's what I was,
Just do a simple.
Yeah, that's what it is, right-of-way acquisition process, we just write it up, the survey will write it up, get it to the county attorney or city attorney to,
then we gotta get pricing on seal coating.
I can do that, yeah. That's what you wanna do, move out there.
I'm
We kinda already have that.
I'm assuming that right away that we need to get for this, we're not gonna pay for.
It's up to you
I
guys.
assume there's gonna be a money in, money out, even exchange, hopefully not very much for Becky's sake.
Well, I'm assuming we wouldn't charge, or we wouldn't charge early and we wouldn't be charging her. I mean, she set her house up based upon the center line of the road.
I don't know what the numbers they worked out were, as far as from Stevenson to.
Right, well, I guess when we do the right-of-way.
I don't know, all I know is the two have talked, but I don't know what they've talked about, because they really didn't have any direction knowing what to talk about.
Right, so basically, hopefully, we'll just be able to get it right, we'll just purchase his right away for hopefully like $1 and sell hers for like $1, it'll be a walk.
Yeah, get that worked out.
Right.
Or can they go directly between them?
Do we have to be involved?
Really?
Yeah, because it's our right of way, so you gotta change.
So we gotta buy the right away from him, what we need, and sell her what we don't need.
Right, I mean, we don't have to sell what we don't need, but we make it right, we should, because it's right next to our house, so. I mean, so it's just your excess right away we'll sell.
Yeah, I just think they neither one knew what was going on, and it was just, now they got direction as far as what.
We gave them a draft of the plat and showed where the problems were.
And
No,
talking,
but they didn't know.
Right.
right, yeah, she was just going off the
The
information they had.
process.
Right, and they just, well, technically it was on the homeowner to survey your lot that you bought, to build your house, but that doesn't, it didn't happen that way, so we just have to write it, and the best way
Yeah,
to
you're
write it.
also supposed to be annexed in to the
Right,
house.
yeah, exactly, so.
That doesn't always work like it said.
So the cleanest way after talking to the engineer and the surveyor is to do the right-of-way plat. And since French Renter's already surveyed it, we'll just go back to French Renter. So I'll have to have, engineer service agreement for them to write the right-of-way plat. So I'm gonna have to be charged for that. And then we'll have to get it to the city attorney to process the stuff and we get it. So it'll be pretty easy. Lot less difficult to do it that way. So, but as long as if we, like ahead of time though, if we talk to Stevenson, he's good with, he knows he's gonna give it to us, we can go ahead, like say, get construction or stuff started under that way or whatever, so.
I wouldn't do anything until the ink's dry.
There you go. So, there you go. And again, it's up to you guys, so you guys have to approve everything. But we have a plan, so yes, we have an updating plan.
I think that's pretty much all I had, was just update on that. Closed session.
Well, are you coming back to the other stuff, or are we not?
What are we coming back to?
Are you coming back to Jay, or are we not doing anything with the table today?
Jerry.
Jay?
Jay. Regarding the salary resolution for the non-union personnel.
My recollection is we put things on hold to go find the resolution. Now we have the resolution that was approved. Like I just read it, I mean, it says 2018, 2019 only. So, I mean, that did not say anything about moving on and going on. The one that you guys approved the other day does talk about going, or that the council approved the other day, does talk about the scale being in effect moving forward.
Well, that's coming out too. Or all vetoed again. It needs to be done from year to year like it's always been done. Like I said, I'm okay with everything in it other than I think the DPW and,
2% market.
and the community economic development director come out of it. I think with that position and that, I could see each one of them having their own. Because I think it should be, performance based. I don't have a problem with the 3% until they get to top of scale. I just don't like the 3% plus the 2% until they get to top of scale. Then they get, it may not just always be 2%. It's going to be whatever we decide it to be. It might be 1.5. It might be 4, depending on what the cost of living is. It's usually always followed whatever the union contract was negotiated.
Do we need to have a special meeting then?
We need to quit bringing this stuff to the council a week before we need it approved, so if there is discussion, we can get it handled and taken care of before we're sitting here messing with everybody's paychecks.
Could have done it last meeting. It was up on the agenda then.
And we had one no vote, and I discussed my opinion of it, and you just took the 3 yes votes as that's how it was going, and
We didn't
And
find
what
out,
was it?
we didn't find out that you were gonna veto it until about an hour ago. There's your last minute.
you didn't call, no, it ain't last minute. You didn't call me and ask me if I was okay with it, or what, if it was okay or
You know,
fine,
it's
or
not
what the
really-
deal was.
It's not really up to you. The council, 3 council members out of 4 voted yes. The council approved it.
No.
You also had email a week ago from me asking,
That email was directed to the attorney.
it was copied to all of you.
It was directed to the attorney.
So I would say that, I mean, there's something, that resolution only applies to 2018, 2019, so you're gonna have some special meeting since it is getting vetoed, to set whether or not you're doing this, or whatever you guys are doing. I mean, unless it's decided tonight by everybody else, everybody that's still here. Well, you can't override his veto, though. Unless you happen to.
Could have had the veto override vote and discussion on tonight's agenda if the veto was done before tonight.
So it's my fault for waiting until now. to
You
do
know
it.
what, Mayor? You didn't give us a chance.
You didn't give us a chance by bringing it to us at the last meeting and only giving us
Okay.
2 weeks.
Because I don't know.
You know the veto process and the whole 14 days thing. Why didn't you bring it to us in April?
Because we don't know whether you're vetoing or not.
Well, if you bring it to me in April, we've got 3 months to figure that out.
Yeah, okay.
We thought we had this all hashed out when we did the budget.
Are you willing to?
We've discussed this pay process. Darren's never voted yes for it. Scott's only voted yes for it once. I've never liked it. We've discussed this plan ever since it come out.
And if
Not everybody has liked it.
And if
And we've never, they just went, it's passed, and it's just went on that way. Nobody's
Are you
ever really
willing to
cared to
adjust
look
it?
at it.
Are you willing to adjust to what we've been talking about?
No,
Okay. Let's discuss it.
short notice like this, no.
Short notice, long notice, you're not gonna change your mind, Earl.
Guys, let's just-
I think I've changed my mind a lot of times there.
There's gonna have to be a meeting before July 1st.
what happens if we don't move off of that? What's gonna be that's gonna be a question that you're gonna have to answer.
I understand. But I mean, that resolution said it's only 2018, 2019.
I understand it, but what
They're gonna
happens?
have to come up
No,
with-
what we're talking about right now, what happens if we don't pass one?
I would assume that everybody would support at least what they got last year, correct? I mean, I
That
assume,
was good just for last year, right?
I know, but if, I would assume at a special meeting, they would at least approve that.
You make an assumption, I don't know. I'm asking these questions not to you, I'm talking about to everybody here. But
I
you're saying that,
understand.
if you're saying that if nothing happens, then what's in place is gonna be
That's what it's gonna have to be, yeah.
even though that says just for fiscal year 19.
I don't know how they would go backwards from that, but
The only issue I have is with the people that aren't at top of scale getting 5%. Everybody else is, I'm fine with.
I would agree with that.
You got 3 that don't. So we're at a deadline here. What are you gonna do to break the deadline?
what if you guys come up with a number instead of a pay scale, and then you deal with the pay scale, I mean, Gary, you just asked for options, I mean, you come up with a number that you're okay with everybody having for 2019, 2020, and then you guys could always deal with the pay scale later on, then you could put one in if you wanted to, that said this is automatic, I mean, you could do that way too, meaning like if you guys come up with a number that you're okay with increasing the other employees too, and then new people would be on some sort of,
I don't understand how we can start somebody on a pay scale that's not approved.
I thought Gary said that she was under contract.
No. Her position was approved. The pay range was approved according to the pay plan that we put forward at the last council meeting. It has a pay range, it recognizes that. And that position was authorized with that salary range to begin with. And it was budgeted also. Does that position exist?
Not by resolution.
That position. The position exists because we've approved the position.
Compensation.
And
Unless
is the compensation in what we approved? Or is the compensation only in the pay plan?
You approved the pay salary in recognition of the pay plan. The pay range was in that job.
That is my problem with everybody being on the same pay plan. You gotta do away with the whole plan to change anything. Why can't
That's what a pay plan does. It's uniformly puts together people slotted based upon the nature of the jobs.
So you want a individual pay plan for every person?
Not every person.
What it sounded like.
I think the DPW and the community development director need taken out of the pay plan. They have their own, and then everybody else, and the police have their own, and everybody else can deal with that.
Gotta have an ordinance to do that.
So you're wanting administrative staff, you're wanting to separate out.
Yeah. I think administration should have, I mean, all the administrations had an ordinance before.
Does that include Park and Rec, which is also in the pay plan?
Is the Park and Rec director administrative?
Of course.
Then they would be in that also.
Okay, so the only people that are not in that pay plan right now is Keely, because she's exempt status individual, and she's at the very bottom of that scale. Making comparable to what, a little bit more, but about comparable to what administrative clerks are making, a little bit more.
She's not in the pay plan?
Yes, she is. She's the only person that is not exempt status. You got Sandy, you got Tyler, Brenda, I guess, Chris, you got Danny, and in a different iteration, you got Zach. That's it.
Zach.
In the police department. Because he's just,
He's in the police department pay plan.
Right, but he is not an exempt status individual.
What do you mean by exempt status?
Eligible for overtime. But we do it on salary, so we have an exempt status because of the confidentiality.
Zach's not, I mean, in the new plan for the police department, he's not eligible for overtime.
that means he's exempt.
That's right.
Because he's assistant chief.
And the chief was in the pay plan, but we took him out tonight just because the ordinance says it, but his pay was categorized based upon the pay plan, treated as a major department head like Danny and like Chris. And again, those jobs are indexed off to the very dime at top of the scale of what Ted Henderson was making when he was here. The very dime. And if Ted were here today, he would be making, I think, $4,000 or $5,000.
Ted ain't here, and the people we have don't have the experience Ted had, so I don't compare him to that. It's a whole different deal.
We're basing the salary off of his, and that's why they are climbing through the step plan to get to top of scale at where Ted was. That's why they're not being paid what Ted is right now. That's why the step plan was put in place to begin with.
So you're saying the step plan is getting them to what Ted would be making if he were still here?
Yes, and it's not there, they're not there yet. They've still got 2-3 more years.
Even though Ted had years more experience on the job?
The job was evaluated internally and externally, yes. Ted was making his quote-unquote top of scale from the get-go. There was no step plan for Ted. Ted was making what he was making based on cost of living. There was no step up to him when he was learning his job.
Ted had worked every department in the city.
Well, it was a big jump from Park and Rec to Public Works Director. Right.
I think Ted had worked in the departments and Park and Rec.
But he was assistant.
Assistant DPW.
He's
He's an assistant DPW,
He was hired.
as well as Park and Rec. But he didn't work gas and he didn't work electric and
This whole thing was based upon the idea that we recognized that whoever came in at entry level would have to learn their job and it would take them three or 4 years to get to the top of the scale. That's why it was set up to begin with that way. If somebody reached top of scale, if Danny reached top of scale in 2 more years, 2.5 more years, 3 years, he would then make what Ted would be making today, 3 years from now. In other words, Ted would still be getting increases likewise. This is not something that all of a sudden just pops out and somebody has, well, we're just gonna give them that money. There was rationale behind the entire plan. And it was indexed that way, recognizing existing payment situations. This system is designed that Chris or Danny, or for that matter, the police chief, would never make any more than what Ted was making in the current circumstance. Never. Do they have to? I can't answer that question there. It's up to what you feel is appropriate and fair. And please recognize that the unions have it this way. Please recognize that.
That what?
That the unions have a step plan that gets the money put into the base, just like this pay plan proposal was. And they've had it.
Unions go from entry level to top of scale in 3 years.
No, they go, ours goes
Or actually, 2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
And we took out all the bottom steps of that pay plan. We didn't touch the top of the scale. We took out the bottom steps to encourage better candidate applicants to begin with. And we feel that we're actually getting that done. But we did not do anything about not taking step relationships away once you get to the top. And the fact of the matter is that that pay plan gets the 2% increase. And if somebody is going from the steps through there, they're getting 5% or whatever that number is total, inclusive of the 2%. They're not getting it all at the same time, they're getting it on their anniversary day. In Chris's case, his anniversary date or his promotion date is July 1st. In Danny's case, he got a step increase in April. Now it's a 2% for him that would be carried through this entire step plan into the next April. But now you're saying that he shouldn't have that.
Does the resolution say that they get their increase on their anniversary date?
One that was signed?
Or is it
one that-
July 1?
Which one?
It's on the pay plan.
The one that 3 to 1?
Last year's. The
Oh,
one that
last
you
year's.
handed down here.
He's got that one.
That's how it's been administrated.
On the attachment, it said something about a 2%, I don't remember the exact wording, 2% on the bottom of the attachment.
Yep, assumes 2% across the board increase for all staff in current status.
But the step increase,
Happens on their anniversary date.
where's it state that?
It's in the body of the plan.
Where does it state it?
Those are evaluations of the system. That was presented, it was presented in what
council accepted and approved. I just put more information into the pay plan this year, so everybody understands how it works. But that is how it worked last time, and that was what we described during the council. If you look at this year's resolution, you can see clearly when the step increases were to occur. Taylor's, I think, she got top of scale this year. I think Taylor got top of scale this year. Sandy's at top of scale. Brenda and Keely are obviously, well, Brenda, we're starting. Keely's not at top of scale, she will be shortly, or not at top of scale, she's coming off of her first year, she's scheduled for a step increase. Or you've already had it. No, you're scheduled for one coming up.
I don't see that there, but this is the one that wasn't, or that was 3-1. If you want to look at it. You can see the salary ranges. Wait, what do you talk about the anniversary date, right? Didn't you talk
The
about-
anniversary dates, you're right, they're not shown on here, but we index that off of what we have administratively like we do everything else. The Park and Rec Director, and this one shows that she's at top of scale. Last year, it showed that she was I don't know, it doesn't, we don't say it 2019, 2018. I can't tell you whether the Park and Rec Director got to top of scale or not, I think she did this year. But that's, the plan recognizes that. You can see, for instance, on Danny's versus Chris's. Danny on July 1st, on June 30th was making more than Chris. You can see then on July 1st, they make the same because Chris had a promotion date on that July 1st.
What's Danny's pay changed, what did it change to?
He went up one step in April and now there's a,
What is that number?
You want me to show them the thumb?
Show.
I just want to make sure I'm showing the right thing. I think it's this, right?
Yeah.
That number? Okay. That number?
That's what he would be making with 2%.
This says current. What's that?
That's 2 years ago.
Well, he's making less now.
Okay.
Oh, I can tell you what that is. That was top of scale 2 years ago, and here's where he was. That was top of scale. This is where it is.
Oh, this was what Ted was making?
That's what Ted was gonna be making at that time, 2 years ago.
So you can see here, so I can see it here. So see how he doesn't increase next year because it's at top of scale. Am I reading that right?
That's right. He would not increase until
So it's
April.
a 3-step plan.
Yes, it is. 4 pays, 3 steps.
I'm just trying to.
No, you're right, you're right. He's scheduled for a step increase in April of next year.
That's what I give it to.
And we have the same thing going on with you. Their anniversary date, they get step.
We're ready for the closed session.
I say we table this until we see what happens.
Do you mean another meeting? I mean, what do you mean?
Talking about a special meeting or?
Maybe, maybe not. He hasn't handed out the envelopes yet.
I didn't hear what you said.
So he hasn't handed out the envelopes?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 20.173, negotiating session, strategy meetings of public employers, or employee, organization, mediation,